Hi, my name is Nicole Boyce, and this is my Crucial Conversations midterm. So the conflict I'm going to talk about today is between two sisters, and for the sake of the video, we're going to call them Ashley and Courtney. Courtney is the younger sister, and Ashley is the older sister. And we're going to dive in a little bit later on what they're having a conflict about, but first we're going to talk about family conflict in general. So family conflict is wrapped up into issues of power, self-esteem, control, or how people feel about themselves. So right now, Ashley, the older sister, is the more powerful one and being really controlling and bullying her little sister, Courtney. So the sisters are fighting because the older sister, as I mentioned, is very opinionated about how the younger sister parents her children. So they're both in their 30s, they both have kids of their own, and the younger sister, Courtney, has a 10-year-old daughter, and the older one has 3 children, but they have differing views in regards to how to raise their kids, and specifically in relation to religion. So Ashley, the older sister, they were both raised in a Christian home, but the older sister feels like the younger sister is not doing a good job at bringing her to church, and she really feels very strongly that the younger sister needs to be taking her daughter to church because that's what's best for her. While the older sister, Ashley, is being very judgmental towards Courtney, very judgmental, very disrespectful, and showing that power. And so it really hurts Courtney's self-esteem and makes her feel weak. So patterns of family conflict, these are the 2 conversational styles as mentioned in the textbook. And then these are the 4 different types of families. I think that these sisters grew up in a home that's protective, considered a protective family, because they both avoid conflict and they negatively vent. At least that's the stage that they're in right now. They have both negatively vented to me about how they feel about one another, and right now they have gone as far to block one another on social media and via text and phone call, and they are completely avoiding the conversation. So how do we know this is a crucial conversation? We know this because the stakes are high, emotions are high, and the opinions vary, as I mentioned. So they need to create a safe place. First things first is they need to create that safety in order to have that free flow of dialogue. They need to have a mutual understanding or come to a mutual understanding or shared meaning. And this comes from having mutual respect for one another. Right now, neither sister is showing respect towards one another, not only for their opinions or their decisions, but just in general. And this has resulted in them leading to violence, which very recently the younger sister threw a flip-flop, actually the older sister, which of course I don't condone, but that happened. So they had that violence, and then it really was the last straw, and now they are giving in to the sucker's choice of being silent. They need to state their path and also listen to the other person's path. They need to share their facts, tell their story, ask for the other person's path, talk tentatively. This relates to not talking in absolutes. This could be anything from correct me if I'm wrong or help me understand where you're coming from, but I feel like you're mad at me because X. And they need to encourage testing by encouraging the other person to talk. Is there anything else that you want to go over? What else do you need from me? They also need to reestablish safety because right now safety is lost. And so the text says for crucial conversations that they either, when things go hot, they need to turn on the ACC, is how I remember it, with his air conditioning control. And so they need to apologize, contrast to fix, or crib, which is mentioned on the on this slide here. But really, right now, since things have gone cold, they need to amp it up. So they need to ask questions to get things going, mirror the other person, paraphrase their story, which would be repeating back what they said to make the other person feel validated and heard. And they need to prime the pumps. This could be shooting in the dark with asking questions, or I feel like you're reacting this way because of this, just to really get the conversation going. And when at a loss, they need to stick with the ABCs. So they need to find agreement, build, and compare or contrast the differences in their perspectives. And again, right now they're not talking at all. So first things first, they need to recognize some points, even if it's small. They need to recognize the other person in some way and find some agreement so that they can build on that agreement that they've found. By showing that they agree, this shows validation towards the other person and makes them feel respected, and that puts them one step closer towards finding that shared pool of meaning. Last but not least, they need to move to action. So when will they do what, who does what, and by when, and when will follow-ups occur? More recently, Courtney, the younger sister, has recommended that they go to counseling, which I think is a fantastic idea. So they need to say who's going to do what. So who's going to make the counseling appointment? When are they going to go to counseling? For how long do they need to go to counseling? And who's going to find the counselor? So all of these things need to be established so that the confusion and misunderstanding, will not occur. And then follow-ups. They need to follow up after their counseling appointments. Ask each other, how do you think that went? How can we do better, and what do we need to do differently moving on? And this really holds the other person accountable. So in conclusion, by creating safety, listening, stating their path, allowing the other person to share their path, recognizing crucial conversations or learning to look, and avoiding silence or violence, these sisters can build their relationship and have an effective, crucial conversation. Thank you.